What's happening, Sunderland fans? I promised you a change. It's not Silver Fox. No, 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 no. It is SAFC True Mackem. Yes, it is. Why? Because there's no one else on YouTube that has the bollocks to call themselves that. And while I might not be from Sunderland, this is the first ever team that I have supported, the red and white, and that's the way it's going to be, and that's my name. Like it, lump it, deal with it. So, the announcement. Sam Allardyce has signed a 2-year deal, not as head coach, as manager. Which is interesting. So, does that mean to say that this whole director of football bollocks, Ellis Short, has realised the error of his ways? And maybe giving him a bit of flexibility with transfer funds. But we're not going to go into that too much just yet, because a 2-year deal, we all know what Big Sam will bring. He'll bring a different style of football, which, to be honest, is not going to do Sunderland any harm. They need to do fucking something. Dick Advocate, you know, it's got to go on record that everybody needs to thank Dick Advocate. He kept us up with an impressive 0-0 draw last season. And, you know, for me, he complained about Fabio Borini coming in, but look at where Borini is now compared to the start. The start, he was, I wouldn't say useless, but I'd say he was rubbish, you know. And then against West Ham, by far, he had his best game that he's had in the red and white shirt for a long time. Yeah, so, you know, he was a bit disappointed with that signing, but when you look at it, he has signed a few right players. You know, Coates, he was okay against West Ham. Wasn't the best performance he's ever done. Have to look at last season for that. He was phenomenal, isn't even in it. You know, you've had Jermaine Lenz, you've had Ola Toivonen as well, Jan Veer. You know, he's starting to prove to be a real handful for some teams as well. And that's where I think Big Sam is going to get the best out of them. Because we saw against West Ham the formation that we need to play. And obviously I will touch on this again in my preview video for West Brom. But you know, the 4-4-2 with a diamond midfield formation worked perfectly for us. And I dare bet, if Jermaine Lenz never got sent off against West Ham, we'd have had that player there to plug that gap easily. So it was a bit of a disappointment, obviously drawing 2-2, and of course, you know, Sam Allardyce, he's no slouch. He's not an idiot. He'll look back at that game, and you know, part of him's going to think, it will think, you know, playing that formation, it did work. But if you could get them to concentrate on defence a bit more, because we weren't that bad in defence, were we not? You know, and it was one of those things. So yeah, get them to concentrate a little bit more in that regard, and you've got your perfect setup really. So he's going to bring, obviously, God, I don't know, he's going to bring the long ball game. Oh fuck me, I cannot stand the long ball game. It drives me insane. But you know, I suppose, because I've seen a few rumours floating about, why don't you try and bring in Emmanuel Adebayor? Long ball game, you've got the big target man there. You know, knock the ball on, Jermaine Defoe, pick up the scraps. What he's good at, poaching. Not an egg, by the way. Goal poaching. So yeah, it's very interesting as well, some of the things he said. He said, you know, the club is in trouble. Well, we all know that. It could be worse. We could be Newcastle. And, you know, ideally for me, I'd love it, even if we're 3 points above or below, just to get to the January transfer window and still be well within touching distance. That would suit me down to a T, you know, because then we'd still have a chance. January transfer window opens, Big Sam can hunt some players and bring them in, which is what we need. And you know, you look at his track record with West Ham. Okay, he made Ricardo Vaste. He was, well, yeah, say no more on that. But every manager makes at least one mistake, don't they? You know, and you know, Manchester United, Diego Forlan. How much of a flop was he? And it's one of those things, you know. Look at Pedro for Chelsea. He's been awful for Chelsea in my opinion. He really had not the player that you'd expect. Harry Kane last season. Harry Kane was on fire last season. And look at it. He scored 1 goal for Spurs. Sorry, 2 goals, because one of them was an own goal against Swansea last weekend. And it's always hit and miss with players. So with managers, they're bound to at least get one signing wrong. And I've got to say, while every Sunderland fan does have to thank Dick Advocate, so far Fabio Borini's starting to prove him wrong. So you might have wanted him. Hey, we all know what it's like at Sunderland with the transfer policy. To say it's gone to the dogs is that's an understatement. But yeah, so hopefully we're going to get a good style of counter-attack football as well, because that's what I love. If you can soak up the pressure, hit teams on the counter-attack, it's harder to defend on the counter-attack. And that's what we're lacking. We've got pace in a few players. Jermaine Defoe, he's still got a bit of pace about him, even though he's 30 odd. And we're going to definitely see a different style of play with Sunderland. It's going to be more passing game. Long balls thrown in, of course. Again, roll of the eyes. But it's definitely going to be a different style of play, and a more passing style of play, which is what we need, because at the start of the season, just hoofing the ball long, oh god, and it drives me insane to see that every time, and hoofing it long when there's no one there. At least if there's someone trying to run onto it, then by all means go for it. You don't know. Defender could slip, you latch on, bang, goal, done, 1-0 easy. But it's definitely going to be interesting. I can't wait for January to see who he brings in, because as a manager, I kind of feel Ellis Short has given up a bit more freedom to the manager's position, compared to just leaving everything to the director of football, who, quite frankly, he might have changed other clubs, but he's fucking shite at Sunderland. Borussia Mönchengladbach want him. Fucking send him. Get a couple of million compensation, done. Because, the recruitment policy last season was awful. The recruitment policy the season before that was just ridiculously awful. So it is slowly getting better. That's the progression that we can see here, but well, we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? And obviously the preview for the West Brom game, that's going to be very interesting. So let's just wait and see, Sunderland fans. So, as always, well, not as always, because it's kind of the first time I've done it, so I can't say as always until the preview video, really. But I have been the true Mackem, and you have been watching. Leave comments below as always, and as always, how are the lads?